If you want to create a website, get really well organized. You will save money. You want to know what your objectives are, your mission. Get very clear, because then when you are shopping for a website designer, you will have a better sense of whether that designer is a good match to your mission.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast, an auditory journey through the latest in marketing, branding, and advertising. Now, here's your Marketing Expedition guide, Ray Allen.
On today's episode of the Marketing Expedition Podcast, I get to speak with Marcia Macomber, and she's an award-winning website designer, marketing strategist, author, speaker, and radio host. And at her design and marketing studio of more than 25 years, she is the creator-in-chief, producing digital and print campaigns to accelerate her clients' success. At KSVY Sonoma 91.3 FM, Marsha has been hosting the morning show on Mondays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time since 2015, welcoming guests from all around the world, speaking on a wide range of topics from housing, climate change, business success, to personal wellness and health, among many, many other things. A strong advocate for women's rights and impatient for the current speed and direction of change, Marsha co-founded Wine Women, a nonprofit trade organization for women in the wine industry. She has served as a founding marketing director for several years and as well as a producer and co-host of the Wine Women Radio Hour show and podcast. Marsha lives in Sonoma, California, where she enjoys gardening, hiking with her dachshund, and finishing her day with a glass of one of her other clients' wines. And so we are going to talk about all kinds of website tips and things to know when you are wanting to create a website, all kinds of good stuff from Marsha. So stay tuned for that. But first, it's time for your Marketing Essentials moment, the basics that you need to help you continue to build your brand and your bottom line. Okay, I think we're on part 3 of marketing team terms that you need to know, marketing terms that you need to know. So we talked about B2B, B2C, inbound, outbound, SEO, SEM, search engine results pages. We talked a lot of different tools and tips and technologies and jargon that you need to know. So I'm just going to keep on with this trend, and hopefully you find this beneficial in understanding some of the terms that we use so that you can speak intelligently to those who do and live and breathe this every single day. Yeah. So other types of technology or tools and just words that come up, just different things that you can do. So I say memes. Some people say memes, or I don't even know what they say. But those are some things that are like little funny strategy things that people want you to see. They're little jokes or lighthearted kind of things that then get shared because then it's a meme, and if it's funny or has some sort of witty quote or something of that nature, then you can use these to your advantage. And for example, you can come up with lots of different ways to say you have a product announcement. But sometimes, just showing the product isn't all that, appealing or revealing. So you can come up with different ways to announce it that are going to go viral, that people want to then share with others, that can make it more entertaining and or memorable. And so thinking about how you can use memes to your advantage. Other things that you can do, or other, terminology that you could use here, is influencer marketing. So when businesses team up with the people who have a large following online, usually on social media platforms, or maybe they have a huge email list as well, or YouTube following, or any of those types of things, then they, like celebrities or athletes, or maybe some other digital content creators, they can get compensated from the business as an influencer to promote their product or service. And right now, of course, I'm sure this is ever evolving, but it's a $21 billion industry with influencers found across all kinds of different categories and, different types of influencers that are out there. And it's still growing, and social media continues to attract new users. I mean, TikTok blew up because of this, and lots of people endorsing and making endorsements. And, sometimes they were by accident becoming influencers just by simply doing something that was silly or funny or different, right? But regardless, the aim is to typically grow the brand and brand awareness and drive sales, drive leads, drive, people into consideration versus just awareness, and get them into wanting to convert into purchase. So influencer marketing, research your influencers, because there are so many different sectors of types of people that you could work with. Of course, that would, fit well within your brand. Maybe do some background checks and understand maybe there's other things that they've promoted that maybe are not in alignment with what you want promoted. And maybe their history is not always in alignment with your company values. So just do your research on who it is that you're wanting to work with as far as influencers go. There's lots of services out there that will match you with the types of influencers that are out there as well. But just be clear of what your objective is, who you want to attract, and the types of audiences that you want to become aware of your brand, and how you're going to capitalize on that revenue growth from them making those influencing comments or live endorsements or anything that they do to help promote your brand. Then, of course, as you do that, measure the ROMI, the return on your marketing investment of your influencer marketing, to compare to other channels and see what's working. You might test out a couple of different ones to see who's going to get the best traction for your audience and who's going to watch and buy from you ultimately. Other terminology that we use in our industry, utilizing a direct marketing channel to your customers one-on-one. Of course, email marketing is certainly, there's about 4.48 billion email users as of 2024. And of course, that number just continues to grow every day. And some of us have multiple email addresses that we use. So email marketing really helps you communicate with those users. And then the direct nature of those emails can really be customized to what you're wanting to attract, and utilizing emails. Test out what works, when to send it, when not to send it, who opens it, when they open it, why they're opening it, what are they clicking on? Are you doing things to just be able to build brand awareness? Are you inviting them to an event? Are you inviting them to be a guest on a podcast? What are you doing? Are you passing information? Are you providing value to the people who are opening your emails? Are you doing it to drive sales? Are you doing it to drive awareness? What is the objective of what you're wanting to do and how you're wanting to put it together? And then, are you following those objectives? Are you able to get the results that you're wanting, and why or why not? Thinking about when you are doing email marketing and things that you can do to capture your audience's email addresses through specific calls to action, or CTAs. That's another terminology we use, CTAs, or calls to action. You can drive traffic to your website to get them to sign up for a downloadable or checklist or something that they would find useful to them, or maybe a template or something that you can give to them that they can then exchange their email address for them to be able to download them. And as you build your email list, you want to segment your audience to help better facilitate the personalization of those emails to help increase that engagement. Because if you're specifically targeting the segments of your audience, then you can specifically talk to each of those segments a little bit differently. I might talk to my 84-year-old grandma in an email very differently than I would talk to my 10-year-old niece, and how they would both resonate with a message that's being sent to them, as an example, an extreme example, of course. But segmenting people in different walks of life or behaviors or patterns of who they are, what they are, where they're interested, where they're at in your funnel, in your sales funnel, okay? Or your marketing funnel, either way. And then, of course, you can do different things like email newsletters, promotional offers, customer reactivation. Hey, we've noticed we haven't seen you active for a while. Would love to, have you come back. Here's, $100 off your next purchase. I don't know, just coming up with some ideas here, but reactivating them, getting them involved, getting them to sign up for something, anything that you can do to continuously get in front of them in a meaningful way, not a spammy way, but something that's meaningful. And of course, we use MailChimp now. We've used several different ones in the past. Lots of clients use different types of CRM systems or email systems. All of them can be, relatively speaking, a lot of them can be set up through the customer journey. If this, then that, will email this message if they do this or that or the other. So lots of things to consider through email marketing and how you're going to get to them. And then other terminology that you need to know in marketing, of course, video marketing refers to the use of video assets as a marketing tool, and videos that promote or inform people about your products or services or your offerings can really help you reach and engage and then convert your audience. We know now that we need to keep them short and sweet. People don't tend to watch really long videos anymore. They get disengaged and disinterested, and they don't have a lot of time to spend on that. So we make short series of videos or series of things that you can do on an ongoing basis, which also helps with engagement and keeps them coming back for more. The more that people are likely to interact with videos, they're going to interact with videos way more than they will with text or images alone. So this really helps increase your chances of those leads that are interacting with your video to be even more solid, because they're going to watch the video, they're going to look at the subtitles, and it will help with leading them through that sales funnel to getting them to convert and then becoming your longtime loyal customers. And there's different types of videos that you can do. Video content does perform well. You can use YouTube. You can do in-ad videos that are either video pre-rolls or they'll play during another video that they're watching, or you can use different ways to have a forced watch versus an ad that you can skip. Or if you do create videos that you want people to watch that are longer form and then you allow other ads to be inserted, you can do that too. And you can share videos across all the different types of digital channels, including video hosting sites and, of course, social media and on your own website. And YouTube really, because Google owns YouTube, sometimes videos are served up in search results on Google. And so that's another fun way to be able to utilize videos for helping with your search results, because there's always an image that comes with the video, which is pretty cool that way too. And of course, TikTok videos or Reels. The Reels are playing on Instagram or on Facebook. They have Facebook Reels as well through Meta. But that shorter form type of video marketing is seemingly more advantageous more and more now than the longer form. So keep that in mind. You don't want to have a really long video that people drop off and don't watch all the way through. So yeah, think about how you can post your videos to your blog posts, your website. Wherever it makes the most sense to have articles with video, and utilizing that for search tools as well, because you can do metadata inside the video that will help with search engine optimization as well. But again, try to be short and sweet, concise, consistent. If you're going to do it on an ongoing basis, because people tend to then expect that. And then if you make it a part of your normal marketing strategy, then having a series of videos is going to be super helpful, because then they want to come back and see more. And then treat your YouTube as a search engine and apply all of those SEO techniques to increase your organic visibility through search engine results pages, and that will help as well. A couple more terms. Viral marketing is a technique that revolves around encouraging people to share the content. There are shareholders now. They share all of our stories, and good, bad, or indifferent, right? We want them to share good stories. But yeah, it's usually digital content shared through social media or other websites or other forums. So yeah, viral marketing, there's certainly things we can do to help with increasing the virality of it. It's not like we can just prescribe and create a viral video. We can certainly create one with the intention for it to go viral, but it's definitely a strategic process to go through and can offer huge opportunity for businesses because the reach of viral campaigns can grow exponentially. So the potential return on that of a successful viral marketing campaign can be huge, but it's really not a reliable form of marketing because there's absolutely positively no guarantee, no matter what you do, that it will go viral. It is not up to us to help make it go. I mean, we can help it, but we certainly are not the ones that are going to make it viral. It's your audience that you wanting to attract, right? So there's just, again, no guarantee that it's going to go viral, but and sometimes it even seems that most viral success seems to somewhat happen by accident. So just keep that in mind. And then here's the thing too about viral marketing. Don't try too hard to go viral. You just can't force success in this case. You can stay up to date with the trends and use hashtags that are trending to help sort of find those viral opportunities to pounce on. But be prepared for the risks that it may not pay off and it may not be viral. So just keep that in mind. It's gonna take some work to make sure that it does, but it doesn't always do that. Okay, some other terms. We've got product marketing. And so really, what is product marketing? It's just that. It's marketing the product, but leveraging that product as its own marketing tool. So it can be utilizing the product in either lifestyle imagery or doing things that are putting the product in use or at play, depending on what it is, right? Depending on what that product is. But successful product marketing can really, it has to rely on how the product is in the functionality of the product, right? And educating people while using the product, whatever it is. Okay. So those are some examples of things that you can do to help, where you can feed some good insights or information to the audience that they know what that product and what the new launch is going to be or what the new features are going to be, and getting people to talk about it. Letting them know when the new features are going to be announced or ready, having some insider knowledge where they know ahead of time when the product's going to be launched, and you've got some beta testers or beta users of the product, or maybe some of the influencers get it first and then they talk about it and then they can help you sell it. Lots of different approaches that you can use for that as well. All right, so we'll keep on doing some more industry jargon, but hopefully that's given you some good information for now. And I want to hear from you. Let me know. Maybe there's some tools and terminology that you would like to know more about that we can share. And if I don't know about it, I'll research it and find it out. So let us know. But with that, let's get into the interview. Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm your host, Ray Allen. I'm the president and CEO of Peppershock Media and the founder of the Marketing Expedition community. And today we have Maria welcome to the show, Maria.
Actually, it's Marsha.
I'm sorry.
I did wrong. There you go. The first rule of marketing, type your name right.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. That's what threw me when I was welcoming you. I'm like, wait, is that her name? I've met you before, Marsha, multiple times. I was like,
I know.
It totally threw me.
Somehow or other, I was typing too fast.
Yeah.
The thing is, because I had some other meeting software running at the same time and for unknown reasons. And it said, your mic is in use elsewhere in your camera. I was like, oh, wait, yeah, I got to shut that off. And then
I've been there and done that. Multiple things going all at the same time. And then you're trying to find the tab that has something playing in the background and you can't figure out what's playing. Have you had that before too?
Yes. So.
Well, Marsha, let's just give a little brief history of you and all the wonderful things that you do in your show and all the things that is Marsha.
Well, I will try to make it brief because when I looked at it again, I was like, geez, I did all that stuff. To sum it up in a short way, I am a specialist in marketing and website design and graphic design here in Sonoma, California. I also host an edition of the morning show on Sonoma's radio station every Monday. I have guests from all over the world on the show. People listen to it from all over the globe as well as locally in Sonoma. Yeah. It is a nonprofit radio station, so it has the built-in requirement that everything must benefit the community.
Aha.
That's a pretty wide mission and goal. So
Yeah.
my main mission then is to make sure that the guests have interesting information to offer listeners all the time. And that can range from politics
Mm.
to small business ownership, entrepreneurship, as well as the work of local and long distance nonprofits and charitable organizations who may be having events around town or something like that coming up.
Well, it's fascinating, and I look forward to participating in that as well at some point. And we've talked about that. And how we originally met was Jill Lublin has a publicity training,
Right.
and we were both panelists on her training. Which so we got to give
Yes.
some love and shout outs to Jill and her amazing training that she does for all of the people that she serves as well. And that's how we came in cross paths by being the
That's right.
expert panel, if you will. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
Marcia, let's just dig into some of the things that you love to talk about in regards to marketing, because I know that's an area of your focus and what you do. And of course, our audience loves to hear all the nuggets and things that they need to know in order to continue to help them build their brand. And ideally, bottom line, even if they are a nonprofit, they still have to pay attention to that. But yeah, what are some areas that you just love to share and have extensive experience with, and maybe some stories that you can share of things that you've done in your career that have helped others with branding and
Right.
building and website and design and all the things that you do, Marcia?
Right. Thank you. Well, I've done everything from a new company's logo design for several clients, all the way through the full branding out to their website design and their collateral, their printed collateral.
Mhm.
Some people still use printed collateral.
Yeah, maybe
So it
it'll make a
hasn't died
comeback,
off
right?
completely.
What's old is new. And
Exactly.
I spoke to a group of middle schoolers, and they call them the neos because they were all wearing neon colored attire, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just a flashback.
Yeah,
So what
we,
goes around comes around.
right, right. That's a great example because like neon colors and ombre colors
Yeah.
mixes, like the Instagram logo, that's an ombre mix of
Uh-huh.
colors,
Yeah.
um, go through periods in which it's in
Uh-huh.
to do
Yep.
that kind of styling. And it's very interesting because, if you've been around long enough, you see a style that's come in, go out, come back in again.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And I always laughed when I saw a lot of companies jumping on the ombre colored logo design, all jumping on that bandwagon. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, yeah, and you're only doing it because the agency that you're working with, and like everybody else, they've all learned how to do that style of gradation,
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
gradients. They're mixing colors. The software upgraded to the point where you could do it again. So everybody jumped on the bandwagon. So each time there's a big jump in technology, you
Yeah.
see people jump on it and try to make use of it. Another classic thing was the upgrade from flat brown for UPS's logo
Mm.
the slightly three-dimensional one by simply applying some highlights and shadows to
Mm-hmm.
the well-known UPS brown shield. And so it's
Mm.
always really funny to see how this goes around. And then again, a few years later, we're back to flat logos again.
Yeah.
No gradation, don't make it look 3D. And the same thing happens with website design as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have lots of 3D highlight and shadow buttons on a
Mm-hmm.
website. A few years later, flat colors. And it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of goes in and out and in and out. Apple is probably the most famous one. They've gone from a very complex Dionysian style logo to eventually down to just kind of the silhouette of the black apple with the bite taken out of it type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that always goes in and out, and it's kind of fun to see that. My clients come to me from all walks of their stages. Like I said, some come to
Mm-hmm.
me when they are just starting a brand new business. Others have been in business for years and are bringing me a problem at wherever they're at in their business. One of them that was kind of interesting from a website design point of view was a client came to me and said, can you just add these 3 photos and give them these 3 titles for the types of trees that we sell? And so I go onto their Squarespace website, which
Mm-hmm.
the previous person they were working on had taken a job and was no longer able to work on it. And of course, I do this, but I came back to them and I said, well, what are you really hoping to achieve with this?
Mm-hmm.
These were kind of obscure tree named cultivar types. And so they explained to me, well, we want to sell more of these types of trees. Aha. Okay, now we have something to work with. Well, as it turned out, by doing more probing, the really important part work, as you know, Ray,
Mm-hmm.
is asking a lot of questions to uncover what the real problem is.
Right.
And so I sat down with this client, and their basic problem was they weren't selling enough trees. And
Mm.
they didn't particularly want to sell them online, but they weren't getting any traffic from the Google ads they were running. Okay, now I had material to work this out.
Mm-hmm.
And jump ahead a bit, I created a new website for them. I said, basically, your site is so small and doesn't have enough specific information and keywords
Right.
that you're simply not attracting the traffic.
Right.
So we built the website for them. They have absolutely no results in keywords.
Mm.
So for your audience probably knows, because I know you've talked about it with other guests
Mm-hmm.
and directly from your own experience, Ray,
Mm-hmm.
you have got to be aligning up with keyword phrases, with searches in order to get people to your website. That's the only way it works. So they went from 0 results. They weren't showing up on any search result pages for any of their keywords. We launched the new site. Within 60 days of them being there, they had 20 keyword phrases that were ranking in the top 10 on the first page.
Nice.
Within 90 days, they were getting over 24,000 impressions. They were getting 600 click-throughs on all of that information. A year and a half after that, they kept rising in their results, in their organic results. This is
Nice.
not the Google ad result. Big difference.
Mm-hmm.
They had 100 search result positions for 10 keywords, phrases. They were all in the top 10 on the top page. When I checked back this year, 5 years into the same website, they were getting nearly 800 keyword phrases that were positioning in the top 10 of results. Of that, 500 phrases were in the top 5.
Oh, good. Yeah,
So
that makes a big difference. Now,
big
when
difference.
you when you redid their website, did you use WordPress or what platform did you go to?
I am mostly a WordPress designer. I do
Mm-hmm.
have sites I've designed in Shopify and a few in Wix and in
Mm-hmm.
Squarespace, but really
Mm-hmm.
a WordPress is my go-to.
Yeah, it seems
Um,
like that's the more common
yeah,
one that, and being able to have more tools at your disposal to be able to create those phrases and do more. And they've definitely incorporated AI now to give you suggested phrases and keywords, right? I mean, that's just the nice thing
yes,
about it. Yeah.
yes, it is. It is. It's very convenient. It saves time. It's not always right.
True.
But it's nice when it says, here's your suggested alt image tag. What
Hmm.
do you think? And you can approve it or you can improve it.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Love that. Love that.
Improve or approve. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool. Very
great
cool.
results.
Yeah. And you're right. I think if people recognize that they need to have that built into their site, I mean, the site can look pretty, but if no one can find it or see it and it's not serving your audience very well with results that they're looking for, then you're not going to show up. And now even taking it a step further, not just regular Google search, but now we have voice command and smart cars and all the things that people are asking questions in doing question query. So
Yeah.
then if you can have the answers to those questions, then you're even taking it even beyond just the normal SEO. Now we're looking into voice search optimization. And that's another world to consider. If you are, looking at websites, how can I incorporate voice search optimization now as well? And it's fascinating because it's ever changing, right? I mean, I'm sure, Marsha, you have been looking at all of the different tools and technologies that are out there. Are there some favorite tools that you like to make sure that are integrated into the workflow that you use?
Um, you know, my favorite work tool
Yeah.
is the one that makes the client feel most comfortable in.
Yeah.
So, and I say that because, we all have things, maybe you're a Slack user, maybe
Mm-hmm.
use that for communication. Maybe you use Basecamp on all your accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that with my clients, they are as disparate as the US population. Some of them are very technology averse,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
which case the best tools for them are the telephone.
Yeah. Right.
They maybe don't even like email.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, sometimes with the client who's really averse to technology, um, they prefer to come to my office and put things on my desk
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
say, "I've got this to work with." Other
Right.
times, they're smart and they recruit a tech savvy friend who kind of works as a go between, which can
Mm-hmm.
work marvelously.
Right. Yeah.
Other clients are really comfortable with Dropbox.
Mm-hmm.
Let's create a shared folder. You can asynchronously upload your content. Doesn't matter when, can be 3 o'clock in the morning on the other
Yeah.
side of the planet. So Dropbox is a real big one for me to
Mm-hmm.
use.
Mm-hmm.
Google Workspace,
Mm-hmm.
great tool to use for the same thing. So you can share things back and forth. You can create forms. But my focus is really on what puts them at ease, because some of
Yeah.
my clients are very uncomfortable with technology. And a lot of people who go into the website design process have done so out of a fair amount of apprehension.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
they've heard horror stories of sites being hijacked. We hear in the news about so many security issues, right? We've
Yeah.
heard about hospitals, school systems, even utilities
Yeah.
that their sites have been taken hostage and they're supposed to have to fork over, thousands of dollars to get control of their site wrested back. So people are
Scary.
understandably wary of technology. So I first want to query people with what that is. What I need in the background, that's whatever I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use. Obviously, in WordPress,
Mm-hmm.
I'm using a lot of plugins of various types, SEO plugins,
Mm-hmm.
um, optimizer plugins for images and video, security plugins.
Mm-hmm.
So I will break out the toolbox for the back end, but the customer doesn't need to know what any of those are. I just
Right.
want to know that everything is secure and locked down.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
if their site looks good and functions and has been proofed,
that's right.
and
That's
that you're
right.
not using images that you don't have permission to use, that's always a big one, right?
Right.
Well, I just stole this off the internet. I should be able to use this, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
And I will have many of those discussions with
Yep.
clients about here's why that's not a great idea.
Exactly. We don't need to be getting any cease and desist letters anytime soon on your
Right.
behalf. So,
Mhm. And Ray, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but of course, California has additional layers of privacy law
Oh, that's right.
requirements.
That's right.
So virtually everybody I'm doing sites for, I'm in California, so I put California privacy law plugins to
Right.
ensure that they have permissions, that they
Mm-hmm.
have informed their audience that we may be collecting cookies and various other things, so that they're aware that they really
Mm-hmm.
need to protect themselves that way.
I think every site I go to anymore has the, accept or approve or, whatever, or I just click out of it and I'm like, well, I get to still use it anyway. So
Yep.
for the
Yep.
most part, I mean, I think it's there as like a cover your, CYA.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's good. It's important to have those in place so that way if anything did ever come back on you, you say, hey, I had the warning, I had the message, I did my part to make sure that they felt secure on the site for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, it's like the scammers are getting so good now. I mean, they make it look so legit and so as if it's really coming from the company that it's coming from, and it's scary. It's my 84-year-old grandma. She gets these messages and she thinks like the world is all coming to an end. And like, grandma, it's just a scammer. Don't you dare! Don't click on it.
Yeah.
The worst was
Absolutely.
when somebody actually called my grandma posing as my sister, saying that she needed bail money because she was in jail. And my sister was at work at the time, didn't answer her phone right away. And so my grandma is like freaking out, trying to figure out how to get bail money to post my sister out of jail. And my sister was never in jail,
Of
was
course
never
not.
even, but they masked the phone number to make it look just like my sister's phone number. I mean,
Yes.
it looked just, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like incredible how they're getting so sneaky and it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
grandma never, got any bail money to anybody. Thank goodness we stopped it. But I was like, it was like $20,000 of an ask. And I'm like, geez, first of all, what the heck did my sister do for that much,
Yeah.
Anyway, she's safe, and my sister did not go to jail, in case somebody's listening to this. But yeah, it's they're just getting so good, and so yeah, you have to continuously keep up on making sure that the security is there, and keeping those up to date and on a regular basis. And when WordPress decides to make an update, you have to make sure that your sites don't get blown up or go down
Yep.
because of all the different plugins and things that you use, right? I mean, that's kind of a constant thing. Do
Yeah.
you do like website maintenance on a regular basis
I do.
just
I
to keep
do.
your clients
Yeah.
up to
As a
date?
matter of
And
fact,
yeah.
for many years now, when I start with a new client, I just make it part of the initial contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, you cannot go without,
Right.
after we get started.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely critical, but I explain to them, this is how often it occurs. It's about
Mm-hmm.
this much money.
Mm-hmm.
I've automated as much as humanly possible what
Right.
that is. Because a part of that is more manual is I'm checking site speed performance.
Mm-hmm.
And as you likely know, WordPress is about to unveil a lot of new tools and
Mm-hmm.
new file processing to improve process speed, to improve speed loading time, which is
Yeah.
extremely important. It's like number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
So,
because people get, they get bored, or they just, find something else to click on instead, and then away they're done. If your site's not loaded yet, well, too bad. Now they've moved on to something else, and I think people want that instant gratification to have it load very quickly, and especially on a mobile device, right?
exactly. Mobile
Mm-hmm.
device is a minimum of 50% of everybody's visitors,
Yeah.
if not 75, 80%, depending upon the type of site you have.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
all of my clients range, from 50 to 80% mobile
Mobile.
traffic. So
Yeah.
I'm always checking that to see, has it changed? Has the balance shifted?
Mm.
That often tells you something too about the demographics of who's visiting. You're more likely to have younger generations be the mobile users first,
Mm-hmm.
but do not discount the older
That's
generations.
right.
Many of them are quite tech savvy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my grandma, she sure likes to be my my number one fan on all my socials, and
of course.
and I get to be her tech support. But you're right. I think that as our population ages, then they have grown up with it more, and so we will see a different way to market to sort of the senior citizens or mature audience, if you will, as they are more tech savvy than before, which will be interesting to see how the next generation will adapt and how it will transition to that whole world.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom at this stage, but that's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
And now a message about our sponsor, Billie Razors. Billie is a female-first shave club and a body brand that's putting an end to the pink tax on razors. So, by spreading the word about the Pink Tax Rebate, no purchases necessary, we both get a $20 credit to spend on Billie razors and body care. Let's do this. It's really awesome. It comes in the mail. You get it on a subscription basis, and it just comes when you need it, and you can always turn it off when you don't, but you can have it set up to automatically come to you as you need new razors, and they are cost effective and, of course, not what you're doing when you're paying at the grocery store such a high price on women's razors. So go to peppershock.com/offers and get your Billie razors today. So your radio station, it's recorded live, right?
Yes.
That's fun. What is one of your kind of favorite interviews or something that's memorable that comes to mind? Because you've done it for several years now, right?
I have. I've done
Yeah.
it since 2015, so
Wow.
it's been really quite some time.
Nice.
Um, one of my favorite interviews it has been Adam Gopnik, the New Yorker Magazine writer and author.
Oh,
And matter
yeah.
of fact, I think he's going to be on again next week because
Wonderful.
he has a new book out all about happiness. So
Oh,
he's just fascinating to hear from,
yeah.
and his ideas and his thinking. So I just consider him just somebody who's really interesting to hear from.
I bet. And I'll have to go back and because they're all recorded and posted to your site, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We can go back and listen to it. That's fun. What's another memorable like moment on the show? Like what comes to mind when I say that?
Oh my goodness. Well, it goes both ways because it is live radio.
Yeah.
There can be some unexpected moments. Last week I had an 85-year-old guest on who is,
Oh,
he has 3 PhDs and a
oh my
couple of
gosh.
additional masters.
Wow.
He's written a number of books about the Endangered Species Act. But
Oh.
just like anybody else,
Yeah.
he can run into tech challenges,
Yeah.
and he was having difficulty with Zoom.
Mhm.
So when I'm running the radio program, I'm running the board. I
Mhm.
am narrating and hosting at the same time,
Mhm.
as well as being in contact with guests or future guests at the same time, either via text or via the chat.
Mhm.
And so that was just kind of challenging because he was having difficulty with the picture and with the
Mhm.
microphone. And at some point, you just have to reach over to a different screen and say, "Let me put on a tune for you for the moment."
Yep. We'll just get this going. You know
Yeah,
what, though? He's not alone. I mean, it happens to the best of us, especially when, the technology wants to update right when you're supposed to try to be using it. I mean, that seems like it notoriously happens every time that I want to be like, okay, I have to be on right now. And yeah, wait for 4 minutes for this update to download. I mean, they're getting better at it, but oh my goodness, especially when we
yeah.
first started using Zoom, it seems like every time you use it, there was an update.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've switched over to this Riverside.fm, and it's quite lovely. The nice thing about it is it actually records locally to each device and then it uploads the recording. So it is not relying on our internet connection to upload the original files, which I love that because sometimes when internet connections go down, you start to hear like somebody speaking in that computer,
yes, it gets
garble and
wonky.
yes, but the nice thing is we get to record those in high quality, which is lovely.
Yeah.
But not everybody has the right tools, or they're updated aren't enough, and you just have to roll with the punches, right? And I think that was like the number one quote. You're on mute. You're muted.
Unmute, click the
Yeah.
little unmute button. Yeah.
Yeah. Always a wonderful thing. One time we live streamed so it was during COVID, and instead of we couldn't be inside a building at the time, because
Right.
social distancing. And so coincidentally, all of the grave sites are 6 feet apart. So people kind of stood, 6 feet up on the grave site. And it was an elderly gentleman, but very well known, a former senator. So we had about 700 people logging into Zoom, and then, people that were there. But it was kind of at the sort of the beginning of when all was happening, and some people were on Zoom and they didn't have their shirts on, or they, they were like, their phone was like up their nose and stuff. So I had to go through and like turn people's camera off. Like, oh my goodness. But they didn't realize that their camera was on, and so that was like the ultimate moment of how maybe tech savvy some people are just not.
Yes. Yes.
Good times. But the family was very gracious and grateful that we could do that for them, because we ended up having to have a generator because there's no place to plug in at a grave site,
That's right.
So I chalk it up with interesting things that we've done that we don't normally do, but a pandemic sort of kind of changes the things that you do and how you serve. So
Right. Right. And then if you're using a generator, you've got the other issue of the noise created by the generator.
Yep. We did. We had to put it on the other side and like string cables and electric cords as long as we could. But at some point it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to deal with the generator. And fortunately, it wasn't as loud. But and plus our van has some power to it as well. But it was it was an interesting presentation, let's say.
Yes.
So Marcia, tell me more, because your background, I mean, you've done this for a while. I mean, before you started your own thing, kind of lead me through that. What did you do to get to where you are, and how what was your path there?
Well, I will leave out all the corporate stuff, but like many entrepreneurs, we get our feet wet out of college the first few years in corporate jobs. And I think those are really valuable. They teach you both good things that you want to emulate, and you also end up putting in the back of your head, if I ever own my own business, I will never do XYZ. Right?
100% agree with that, for sure.
Right. You get both of those. So I served some time doing that, but the time that
I did my time. I served my time. I like how you put that. I served time.
I served my time. But really, the turning point for me when I got into marketing was I was working for a very small startup company at the time, and the company had hired a well-known large advertising agency to do their advertising campaign for the new product that was going to be launched.
Okay.
Now, granted, this is a good 30 years ago. So pre-internet, pretty much. We were still in the era of print traditional advertising.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And so we took a delivery of a big stack of VLOXs. I don't know. I don't know if anybody listening knows what VLOXs are, but these were the old big proofs for a newspaper advertising.
Okay.
And you take them out, you unroll them from their tube, because of course they were produced for big broadsheets that were going to be printed.
And you wanted to make sure you didn't get the ink on your fingers.
All that kind of stuff. So we rolled them out on the conference table, and the CEO and the CFO and I are looking over what has been presented. They had the conversations on the phone, and we're looking at it, and we're all feeling kind of disappointed. And I just started to chime in, and I said, well, it would be a lot better if the headline was this, and the photo should be this, and the opening line and paragraph of copy should be this. because I was one to just chime in with my opinion.
Atta girl. That's awesome.
Wasn't always appreciated by everyone, but in this case, when I did
Yeah.
that, the CEO turned to me and said, "You are our new marketing director."
Ooh, all
Yeah,
right.
we didn't have a marketing director till that point. So that was how I got into that. I won't get into the background of how I got to that point.
Yeah, no, that's great.
From there, I really, I took the bull by the horns, but I also realized I didn't have any formal training in it. So, it was off to the library and the bookstore to get some books and read about guerrilla marketing and all those things and
Love it.
learn while running, so to speak. So that
Right?
was how I got into it.
Totally.
There was another corporate job or so after that before I was like, I'm really done. I'm gonna
Mhm.
open my own door and do
Mhm.
this because this is not gonna work. Like many, I opened the door with a built-in client or two so that
Okay.
I knew I would have an income stream from there. After that, what I really learned was listening to the client.
Mhm.
Uh, that is the single biggest lesson, and that is the single biggest ongoing lesson. I
Mhm.
know from listening to lots of your other podcasts, Ray, that other marketers have talked about this lesson.
Mhm.
And the single most difficult job that we have as owners of our own agencies is convincing our clients to try a new marketing channel, to try a
Yeah.
new tool, to add something into the marketing mix.
Mhm.
So those communication skills of why they should do it and why it's important and being able to get to the answer that convinces them in a succinct, quick manner
Mhm.
is the most important skill we have.
Yeah, getting them to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, trying something new, and just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean it's going to be the right way moving forward. And all of I have like all the things that I do to try to get them to say yes and why this is a good idea. And even if it's not a good idea, at least we can try it and test it and see how it works. And
Right.
just being willing and open, right? That is true. Sometimes that is like the biggest component or the biggest hurdle in being able to get them on board with what you want to do and why you want to go about it. Oh, and always reminding them that they may not be their own target audience. Just because you like it doesn't mean, or just because you don't like it doesn't mean your target audience won't like it. Let's test this out and see. And oh man, that's a
That's a
big
big
one
one.
too. Hmm.
That's a really big
Yeah.
one.
And like I've heard, well, we never see the ads that you do. Well, are you within the, 25 age range that we're setting the filter? Well, no, then you're not going to see the ads. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
That's a
Exactly.
good thing that you're not seeing the ads. That means we're doing our job.
Yeah, exactly.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. An interesting example of how that worked really well for one of my clients is I was hired by a client who really wasn't doing any formal marketing, but they knew they
Mhm.
needed it. And they specifically brought me on to begin doing email marketing campaigns. They had
Mm.
a good sense that they needed to start there because they had a big email marketing list that they had really never used. Now, once I started with them, cleaned up the mailing list and the whole
Yeah.
thing, I was looking at their website. They sold a lot of e-commerce, and that was what they wanted to drive was
Mhm.
e-commerce.
Mhm.
And I realized they didn't have anybody watching the website. There was no webmaster. So this
Oh,
was essentially the same thing as a very large ship with no crew, no captain.
right. Who's steering this? Where's it
Yeah,
going?
it
Where are
was
we going?
it was kind of on autopilot. And I realized that there was no point in driving email marketing traffic to the website because it literally wasn't functioning very well. At the
Hmm.
time, they were only doing about $80,000 a year in e commerce sales.
Wow.
Not a whole lot. They weren't, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, they weren't too unhappy with that. But the website just wasn't functioning very
Mhm.
well. So I explained to them if you really want the email marketing to be successful, we actually have to fix the website so people can make purchases easily.
Right.
The
Yeah.
old-fashioned rules of fewer clicks, one-click buys, easy checkout. And this
Right.
was a Shopify
Kiss
site.
the kiss concept. Keep it simple, silly.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one way to look at it. So I just made a couple of adjustments,
Mhm.
and that year they went from $80,000 a year in e-commerce sales to nearly half a million
Oh my
in
goodness.
1 year.
That's
Just
amazing.
some simple changes.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. That's what we need. That's what we want for sure.
So I really, when a client brings me on, they may bring me on for a narrow task,
Mhm.
a narrow
Mhm.
channel, but I immediately start doing diligence for the
Mhm.
whole suite, going, where have they got holes in the system?
Mhm.
Now they may have a marketing director already who actually is saying we're prioritizing this strategy in this order, and I'm like, great,
Bring it on.
and I can keep going in my channel. Other times I may come back to them and say, you may get more revenue quickly through this other approach.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it depends upon the client.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. I like it when they're open to letting you do more. That's always a good thing for
yes,
sure.
it is. It is. You still have to justify it. You have to explain, the probability of the outcome. This is very
Mhm.
important. It's money they're spending.
That's only money, right? If that were the case. Yeah, I know. That's the trick to it all, to get them to spend and want to, and then want to spend more.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay, so Marcia, maybe just give us a little bit more information on how people can reach you and how they can watch and listen to your radio show, things like that.
Okay, I will work backwards. On the radio show, it's ksvy.org. It's KSVY in Sonoma, 91.3 FM. The signal is only local, about 450-mile radius around the station. So if
Ah,
you're further away, that won't help you. But we do have listeners all around the globe. That's true. It's
okay.
Mondays, 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's live. You can listen online at ksvy.org, or you can play it after the fact.
Nice.
So there are both those options there. For those interested in guesting on the show, they can contact me directly. I'm available at Marsha at cornucopiacreations.com. That's a really big mouthful, isn't it?
Cornucopia. Well, and for those, because this is audio only, but for those that are listening, she has a beautiful cornucopia behind her on her video screen right now. Yes, cornucopia.
A little find. There's the whole story behind the business name, but I'm not going to go into it now. But
Oh yeah.
that's my email. You can also just Google me, Marcia Macomber Cornucopia. In Google, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm available in all those places to connect with anybody.
There you go.
So,
Very
yeah.
well. All right. So I want to give you just maybe some summaries of, people that are listening, your best advice to them. Maybe they're wanting to get into this career. Maybe they already are. Maybe they're looking to create a website. What are like the last little nuggets you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Ah, uh, if you want to create a website, get really well organized. You will
Okay.
save money. You want to know what your objectives are, your mission. Get very clear, because then when you are shopping for a website designer, you will have a better sense of whether that designer is a good match
Hmm.
to your mission.
Yeah.
And that is whether or not you are really tech savvy or you're apprehensive about the whole process.
Right.
The more secure you are in knowing what you want, the more successful you will be.
Very good.
Um, the other thing I would say is always ask the experts that you hire to help you in your entire marketing process. What haven't I asked you that is really important that I haven't thought of to ask you yet?
Ah,
In other
yeah.
words, what don't I know that I don't know that I should know?
Yeah, what don't I know? I love that. That's a really good question.
So, because we go around in life with blinders on. We don't realize we're not in each other's shoes, so we don't realize what's really important to someone else. It could
Right.
be that they're just they're really sensitive soul and they need a softer delivery. Um, it could be that I've had people come to me and say, the reason I didn't get back to you about this aspect of a web design or another design is I thought you'd be offended by my sense of I wanted a different color or a different font, and they're nervous about that. It's like, oh my goodness, no, it is your business. It's
Hmm.
you have to love it. And that's how every client should absolutely love the work that they get from their marketing experts, whether that's web design, email marketing, social media, their SEO expert, whomever they hire. They should feel like they are getting exactly what they need and want.
I love that. Well, thank you so very much, Marcia. I really appreciate your time and all the wonderful nuggets that you've dropped today. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Ray. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting me throw out some ideas that hopefully resonate with your listeners, because I know you have a very big audience, and I hope it's useful for them in going forward on their own projects. Thanks, Ray.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, the best thing that you can do for Marcia and I is share this with others that you know that need to hear this, right? And go give us a review and all of those types of things. Screenshot it and send it to me, and I'll do some shout outs. I usually do monthly shout outs. So I want to give love to those who give love to us. So thank you for that. And until next time, everybody, enjoy your marketing journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Want to continue the journey? Don't miss out on new episodes. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.